and welcome to our Python programming for beginner course. I'm really excited to have you all of here today. Whether you are a school student, college student, or preparing for your placement, or simply just curious about coding, you have taken the first step towards learning one of the most valuable skills of the 21st century. So before starting, let me ask you a simple question. How many of you have never written a single line of code before? If your answer is yes, you haven't written any line of code before and are just new to it, then that's exactly who this course is for. So programming may look difficult when you see hackers in movies typing rapidly on black screens, but in reality, programming is nothing more than just solving problems by giving instructions to a computer. We'll learn about it everything from scratch. No prior coding experience is required. You don't need to know computer science. You don't even need to know mathematics for it. You just need basic knowledge about some concept which I will help you with. So by the end of this course, you will be able to write Python programs confidently and understand the logic behind programming. Later, this foundation can help you explore exciting fields like artificial intelligence, machine learning, data science, web development, game development, and etc. So let's begin. Paul, programming. Talking about programming, programming is a practical skill. So let's talk about it. Skill. So programming is a practical skill. So imagine trying to learn swimming by just watching YouTube videos. Funny, right? You might understand the theory, but until you get into the water, you won't actually learn how to swim. Programming works the same way. Every time I write a code, I want you to open your laptop and type it yourself. If your code gives an error, don't panic. Every programmer, including professionals at Google, Microsoft, Amazon, makes mistakes every single day. Difference is they know how to debug and you will learn that. So let's begin with our journey. Course roadmap. So before we jump into coding, let's get a brief idea about our course. So think of today's lecture as a building foundation of the house. If the foundation is strong, the building remains strong. We'll first understand what programming actually means. And then we'll learn why computer need programming languages. So that we'll explore Python, that is who created it, why it is one of the most popular programming languages. We'll also look into real world application of Python. Many people think programming is only about making softwares. That's a misconception. Python is used in AI, artificial intelligence, then Instagram, your daily use, then finance, cybersecurity, and many more. So first, firstly, we learn where to code. We'll learn how to install Python and learn our very first program. So I use VS Code. Personally, it's a coding platform. So I use VS Code to run Python code. So you can download it from Microsoft Store and create a file with extension name .py so that we can run Python. And we also need to add extensions here. Um, Python extension here. You will this you need to install and run it. Let's come back to our phone. This, this is our coding compiler. We'll learn how to code here only and write our first code here. So let's come back to the slide. So by the end of today's lecture, you will have officially become an programmer because you will execute your first Python program. So today's goal isn't to memorize definition. It's just a basic introduction of our upcoming classes in this. Let's come to what is programming. Let's start with the most important question. What is programming? Programming is simply the process of giving instructions to a computer to perform a task. Let me explain this with a simple example. Imagine your mother asks you to make a cup of tea. Can you just say tea is ready? No. You will have to follow basic steps, right? Like take a pan, pour water, salt, pepper, turn on the stove, train it. I know my spelling mistakes. You can see these all are basically instructions. All these that are written here are the basic steps to make a tea, right? Likewise, programming also has some basic instructions. These instructions together form a process. Programming works exactly in the same way. Now let's take another example. Suppose you are using, let's say, Google Maps. So what actually is Google Maps? So when you open Google Maps and enter your destination, Google Map doesn't magically know the route. A program calculates thousands of roads, traffic conditions, distances before suggesting the fastest route possible. Other example like even an ATM follows programming. You insert your card, enter PIN, verify PIN, select withdrawal, enter amount, and cash distances. Every machine around us follows instructions written by us programmer. Here's something ugly. Here's something interesting. Humans are intelligent. If I tell you to close the door, you will understand which door I mean. But computer cannot guess. So it follows instructions given by the program. That is why programming requires precision. Programming isn't about typing fancy codes. It's about solving grams, problems step by step. So you all also think of any daily activity that follows a sequence of instructions and comment. I will be happy to know about. So let's come to what is a programming language. Now that we know about what programming really is, here's another question for you. How do we actually communicate with a computer? Can we simply tell the computer, please open Chrome? No, right? So directly, computer can't understand our language. Computers only understand machine language, which is made up of binary digits, zeros and ones. Imagine trying to write Facebook or Instagram you using only zeros and ones. It would be practically impossible. That is why programming languages were invented. A programming language acts as a translator between humans and computers. We write instructions in Python. So Python is a programming language. Right. Let me just yes, and that Python is a programming language. Uh, Python converts the code into machine code. Then sorry, Python takes our instructions and then takes instruction and then it converts, sorry, convert them into machine codes, which is understood by the computer, and then computer executes them. So thinking of it like in different language, if you only know Hindi and your friend only knows Japanese, communication will become difficult. Sure. A translator will help you both understand each other. Similarly, we can say that a programming language, or let's say about Python, here act as a translator between us, the programmer, the user, and the computer, right? Different programming languages have different purpose. So, talking about C, C is also a commonly known programming language. It is known for speed. Java is widely used for enterprise software. JavaScript is used for powering websites. Python mainly focuses on simplicity and readability. So we'll learn about these terms later on. Just like English has grammar, programming languages have syntax. If we ignore the grammar while speaking, many people won't understand this. Similarly, if we ignore syntax, the computer produces an error. Throughout this course, we'll learn about Python's grammar step by step. Moving on to our next slide and knowing about what is Python. So let's talk about it. So exactly what is Python? So as I have told you earlier, Python is a programming language, but it is known as a high level general, sorry for my general programming language. Let's understand these terms one by one. Talking about high level, so high level means it is designed for humans and not machines. If you have never programmed before, you will don't you will not know the meaning of these words. So let's talk about it. General purpose means for you all know. If some programming languages are designed for specific tasks, but Python isn't. You can build websites using Python, develop games, analyze data, train AI models, create desktop software, or even create control robots. Even space organizations like NASA use Python for many scientific tasks. That's why Python has become one of the most versatile programming languages in the world. And you are so lucky to learn it from me. Let's talk about the history of Python. Every programming language has a story. Python was created by a Dutch programmer named Guido van Rossum in the late 1980s. He wanted a language that was powerful but easy to read. Existing programming languages were often complicated for beginners, so during his Christmas holidays, Guido started working on new programming languages as a personal project. His personal project. In 1991, it was officially released. And let me tell you a fun fact. Many people think Python is named after the snake, but it ain't. The name actually comes from a British comedy show named Monty Python's Flying Circus, which Guido enjoyed watching. Today, Python is an open source, which means free for all. Anyone can have access to it. That means developers around the world can contribute and improving it. Millions of programmers use Python every day, making it one of the most trusted programming languages in the world. Huh. Let's, let's change the slide. Talk about why Python. Now the big question that should arise in your mind that why are we learning Python instead of some other programming languages? So the first reason is simplicity. Simplicity. Python looks almost like English, that makes it one of the most easiest programming language. Easiest for beginners. Secondly, Python has thousands of ready-made libraries already, which makes coding easy. Imagine building a house. Would you make every brick yourself? No, of course not. Similarly, Python libraries provide pre-built tools that save a lot of time. Third, Python has a huge community. If you ever get stuck, thousands of tutorials, forums, and videos are available in online. Fourth, Python is used in many industries. Artificial intelligence, machine learning, data science, web development, anything you say, mostly every one of them use Python. Companies like Google, Netflix, Spotify, Instagram, and blah blah also use Python in different parts of their technology stack. Finally, Python open up many career opportunities. Whether you want to become a software developer, data scientist, AI engineer, automation engineer, or cybersecurity professional, Python is an excellent step for your first language. That's why millions of people choose Python as their first step into programming. Start with the new topic, uh, logics, algorithm, and flowcharts. Ignore my spelling mistakes, please. So let's begin with it. Now that we have understood what Python programming really is and what Python is, let's understand how a computer actually thinks. Many beginners imagine that computers are intelligent. No, you are completely wrong. Computers are actually very dumb. Yes, they are incredibly fast, but they are not intelligent. They don't think like us humans. They can't guess, they don't assume, they simply follow the instructions that are given to them exactly as it is. Let me explain. Imagine I ask you, Bring me a bottle of water. As a human, normally you will automatically understand several things. You know where the bottle is. If the bottle is not having any water, then you will fill it, right? And exactly, and guess that I will. You will bring a bottle. You will open if needed. You will bring it to me. I have never mentioned any of these details to you. You understood that because you have used your common sense. That's exactly what computers lack. Computers, if you ask a computer to do the same thing, unless you tell it every single step, it won't know what to do. That's why programmers must think differently. They must think in small logical steps, and those steps are called an algorithm. Let's begin with what is an algorithm? So an algorithm is simply step-by-step procedure to solve a problem or complete a task. Notice something? We already used algorithms every single day without realizing it. Let's see some examples. Example 1. Brushing your teeth. Brush your So what are the steps for brushing your teeth? You pick up a toothbrush, you apply toothpaste, turn on the tap, brush your teeth, rinse your mouth, wash the toothbrush, and done. That's an algorithm. Understood? Let's talk about another example also. Example 2, that is logging into Instagram. So you open the app, then enter your username, credentials, password, enter the password, press login, right? Then if the password is correct, it will take you to the home page. Otherwise, if the password is incorrect, then it will show incorrect password detected and it won't open the home. Even social media follows the algorithm, as you can see. Also, other examples, if you relate to real world, when making Maggie, you boil water, add noodles, add taste maker, and follow the steps. That's an algorithm. Every task around us follows one algorithm. Here's a question for you. Can anyone of you give me another real life example of an algorithm? Type it in the comments. I am eagerly waiting for you. You must till now already start thinking like programmers. Okay. So let's talk about characteristics of good algorithm. A good algorithm has some important properties like it should have a clear starting point. Every step should be unambiguous. Then thirdly, the steps should be in correct order. You can't misplace the orders. It would eventually finish Imagine an algorithm that never stops, keeps on running forward. That's why algorithm must have a ending. So since we have already talked about algorithm, now we should know about flowcharts. You must know about it. You have must have read it in your earlier classes. Imagine algorithms becomes very large algorithm. Okay, so hundred of steps, thousand of steps. Reading all those in instructions will become difficult for you. That's why programmers use something called flowcharts. Flowchart is simply a graphical representation of algorithm. Instead of writing everything in words, we draw boxes and arrows, which generally makes a flowchart. Flowchart helps us virtualize the logic before writing code. Think of it like planning the code before we start our journey. Huh? Common flowchart symbol. Let's start with the four simple symbols. First one is oval. Oval represents the start or the end. Start or end of a flowchart. Then the second is rectangle, which signifies the process. Third is parallelogram, which signifies input or output. Input or output. And lastly, we finish with a diamond, which shows the decision. Okay. Currently, we are talking about this four only. For example, if we talk about decision, the password is correct, yes or no. It takes into two different parts. Every programming language is used decision. So let's take an example of a flowchart. Start. To start a flowchart, then it will be arrow like this, and then we'll enter marks. This is the input. So we all know that input and output is in parallelograms. It should be in a parallelogram like this. On line. This would be oval, and then a decision diamond, and which marks greater than 40. If it is yes, then it will go this side. If no, then this side. If it is yes or it is no. If yes, then it would display. Out. Let's leave this. This is very hectic to display. I will tell you in words only. So if the marks is greater than 40, it will go to the decision making, and if it is yes, then it will show you pass, and if it is no, then it will show you fail. Notice something, we haven't written any Python code, yet we have designed our first program, which was whether our marks greater than 40. Professional software engineers spend a lot of time planning before writing the code. Planning reduces mistakes. I assume you all already know about the flowchart, so I didn't show the entire diagram. I just gave you a brief idea about it. And also planning reduces mistakes. So why did we learn this algorithm, sorry for my spelling mistake, algorithm before coding, right? You all must have this question that we still haven't started about coding. So I am giving you a brief idea about what Python is and giving you just an introduction. It is not a lengthy video. The upcoming sessions would have much more information about the coding part. This is just the introduction part. So many beginners think that programming means memorizing syntax. Actually, syntax is the easy part. Logic is the most difficult. If your logic is correct, you can write the same program in Python, Java, C, C++, JavaScript. Programming languages change, but the programming problem solving skills, the real problem solving skills stay forever. That's why we will always focus on understanding the logic first. So let's do a quick activity. I want every one of you to make a flowchart or an algorithm of maybe making a coffee, going to college, ordering food online. Write the steps for these activities and then create an algorithm and further create a flowchart for it. Yes, it will help you a lot in upcoming classes for the coding. So let's recap and learn what all things we learned today. I gave you a brief idea about our course roadmap, what is Python programming, what are instructions, programming languages as a whole, Python, Python high level language, general purpose programming, helps in building website. What is programming languages? Python is history about Python, Guido and Rossen, why Python, algorithms, logic and flowcharts, and algorithm before coding. So I hope you all must have gotten a brief idea about upcoming lectures. And it's easy, right? Learning about Python is seems interesting, and as my experience, it is a easy language. You don't need to worry about it. So we'll talk much about it in the later upcoming classes and start our first code.